Hello everyone, it's Dr. Jordan Nguyen here. I'm an inventor, biomedical engineer, TV presenter, and author of the book, A Human's Guide to the Future. Now I'm going to be taking you on this journey that is career evolution. We're going to get to meet the innovators, the researchers, and the people who are at the forefront of local manufacturing to show you what a career in STEM can be like. We've also got our mates at CSIRO who will be taking you through some activities so you can get hands-on as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on this journey together, and I'll be taking you through every step of the way. A little bit about me. I grew up in Western Sydney in Merrylands. It was also a land of adventure. We didn't have a lot of toys, so we made up a lot of our own toys. I've got triplet siblings, 2 brothers and a sister who are a bit younger than me. And we used to come up with big ideas all the time. We'd go into these imaginary environments, and we tended to make our own toys, our own ideas. We'd sometimes pick apart different pieces of electronics to see how they could work, and also to try and figure out what we'd want to build in the future. Now, we never thought that we'd end up in these sort of spaces. We didn't have big ideas as to where we were going. But what we could always do is harness the imagination, and that's what I would always say you need to do. Figure out why you're doing what you're doing, where you want to go in the future, what sort of big dreams you might have. When I watched movies to do with robotics, to do with artificial intelligence, to do with things to do with science, I found it interesting, but I never thought that I'd ever be able to do any sort of work in it. Now, going through primary school and into high school, I was always around average. Actually, I was usually in the bottom half of my school, and it was because I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. Now, later on, I decided I might be able to get into robotics, might be able to work on building robots that could take people on tours of places, of universities. I found that sort of thing really interesting, but I didn't think I was going to get the mark that I needed to get into university. I worked really hard. I decided to set the bar very, very high, much higher than the mark I needed to get into electrical engineering. And when I finally got in, I got to work on robots, got to see what it was like. And then I realized something that was really interesting. I realized I wasn't that interested in robots. I wasn't that interested in the technology. I liked them. I was interested in it to a certain degree, but I found out what drove me were connections, people. It was the ideas that were coming through that people had, the dreams that they had. I realized that I wanted to be on board with what people wanted in life and what they wanted to be able to do with their life. And so when I started figuring out how I could make these types of connections, I thought maybe I'd want to move into something like psychology, but then realizing that you have interests and then you have the things that you dream of. And for me, I want to bring those together. So my 3rd year of university, I was at a backyard pool party. We were all jumping off this diving board into the pool all afternoon, and one of my dives went horribly wrong. I ended up running and jumping off the board. It moved back. I went down into the pool with my hands out, but my head hit the bottom of the pool first. I felt this massive crunch across the back of my neck. It was deafening. I was stuck on my back, not able to even roll over for a day and a half. And what this made me do was to think so differently about life. All the things that I had taken for granted, the ability to walk down to the shops, to run around, I play tennis, to get on the tennis court. Now, what happened was I started figuring out that there were technologies out there that could help people with disabilities. I also started learning about how many people have disability in Australia. Found out 1.4 million Australians have severe or profound disability, always requiring help with communication, self-care, or mobility. So I started going out and meeting people and hearing stories. Now, with the friends that I met, the friends told me and let me know that if you set your mind to it, you can achieve it. I met friends with high-level physical disability to the point of only being able to move the eyes. It was called locked-in syndrome. Yet we're still building their own ideas, we're still building their own businesses. And one friend of mine, a professional photographer, graphics designer, and website designer, running her own business and only being able to move her eyes. And I thought, really, this is where the power is. If you set your mind to it, you can achieve it. So don't let anyone tell you that you can't achieve your big dreams. So I went on to thinking about robotics and thinking about the new purpose that I found, the new reason why I wanted to build technology. It was to help people, it was to work with friends of mine and to improve the quality of life of people I knew. Friends, family, seeing how technology could make a difference in this world. So I started working on a wheelchair that could be controlled by the power of the mind. It's a headband that picks up the little electrical signals of our brain, sends it into a computer. The computer runs artificial intelligence, which is actually really good at finding patterns and differences in data. I started realizing these things weren't that hard because I had a reason to learn about them. Suddenly mathematics that I was terrible at in school suddenly made sense. The wheelchair was able to move for itself. It itself was a robot, could avoid all the objects along the way. It meant that you could control the wheelchair with the mind. Many adventures came after this, working on so many different technologies, not just in robotics and artificial intelligence, but also extended reality technology, biomedical technology, and avatars, looking at how we can take the worlds of gaming, of virtual reality, and bringing them into the real world to have impact in the real world, to improve lives, improve the environment, and life on Earth. This is where we can head towards if we so choose. As a TV presenter, I get to travel the world finding out the best advancements in science and technology across the globe. And what I can say is Australia is right up there. The innovations in Western Sydney also incredible. So what we'll be seeing are some of the advancements in cancer research and treatment, also some of the brilliance in microbiology, and Western Sydney's boosting of entrepreneurship and startups, looking at areas like artificial intelligence, robotics, and virtual reality, and much, much more. So let's get started and see some of the innovators and the researchers and some of the areas you could move into in STEM. Now we're going to see LaserBond in Smeaton Grange. They do standard manufacturing to advanced manufacturing for the world. But don't be fooled by their traditional looking factory floor. Let's take a closer look at it.
LaserBond, a company located in Smeaton Grange, Sydney, Campbelltown. Very much a refurbishing manufacturing plant, steel, a lot of stuff we get for the mining, aeronautical industry, pumps. So we basically repair. Instead of them having to throw them out, make new ones from scratch, we're able to refurbish them.
In some cases, it's a lot cheaper to repair an area than replace the whole part.
So I'm a fourth year apprentice, so I've been here 3.5 years now. I myself am a machinist, so I've spent 2 years as a manual turner and now I've gone to CNC. It's basically a computer way of machining, so less errors and more accurate. My favourite hobbies, I also build cars. Me and my partner have a dirty Hilux happening at the moment. I saw my dad work on his car when he was younger, and I kind of just saw all my mates do the same thing, so it was an inspiration, you want to do the same thing as your mates, you want to be there, you want to experience it. It's a good time, it's my life. In high school, I was terrible at English. I was great at maths, so I did advanced maths, and I was really good at it, and then I realised that it's easier if you go to general maths and get a better score in your HSC. So that's what I did. So I went to general maths and I absolutely aced it, and I got like real high marks in maths, but my English was terrible. In high school, I wanted to be a helicopter pilot. But yeah, I broke my ankle playing soccer, and I needed an operation on it, and they thought it was a weak point, so I didn't get in. After they said no to me because of my foot, I was like, oh, okay, what do I do now? I tried mechanic, I tried plant mechanic, fin machinist, boiler maker, and honestly no one would hire me because I was from the South Coast. So I moved up here for the job because this was the only place that would actually give me a go. So I did just a welding ticket on top of what I'm doing now. So I did that first year because I wanted the experience of welding outside of work. So tigging aluminium and all that, it's not just something you can pick up straight away, you need to be taught. So I went and did that at Campbelltown TAFE. I love a challenge. I live for a challenge, not gonna lie. I love coming into work and thinking I have to step back and actually look at the job and think, what the hell am I gonna do? Obviously jobs come that are honest, tradesmen that have 50 years experience can't even figure it out. You've got to look at a job differently and think, oh, how can I do this differently? How can I make it work? Personally, maths, I didn't think much about it, but I use a lot of trig and a lot of geometry and all that now, which is good because I learned it in high school. You honestly just need to be switched on. If you're willing to learn, you're gonna be able to do anything.
Currently I'm projects engineer as well as lead mechanical engineer. I've grown up here, so I was born in Camden Hospital, grew up in Minto, then to Mount Annan, which is where I did primary and high school at both Mount Annan schools. I started 2009 apprenticeship here, did my 4 years, TAFE, worked in nearly every department we got down there, and then slowly moved up to the ranks, did a bit of uni, did some extra studies at TAFE. Now I get to design some cool stuff, some playing around with lasers, scanners, 3D modelling. Back in high school I wanted to be an engineer. Dad did his diploma in mechanical engineering. He did his fitting and machining apprenticeship, same as I did, so I was kind of followed in his footsteps, but I've always been one to tinker with tools, build something, design something, fix something, so I was always getting in trouble. Broke a lot of things. Wasn't so good at fixing them until I guess recently, but while I was at school I enjoyed industrial arts amongst everything else. I did excel in mathematics, physics, woodworking, metalwork, anything hands-on really I did well at, even drafting, drawing. While I was doing my apprenticeship I did some extra units at TAFE, 3D CAD, 2D CAD, CNC programming, which I did at Campbelltown TAFE, my extra apprenticeship units, which was very much, I guess, working towards mechanical engineering. Then after I did a few years here, I wanted to go off and learn something else, so I went off to Western Sydney Uni, Penrith, Kingswood campus. That's where I started industrial design, which I then got into a lot of the 3D modelling, CAD/CAM stuff as well in there, which ultimately got me to where I am today. One of the most exciting projects I've probably been involved in, it'd be one of the more recent ones that we'd sent off over to the UK, which is a laser welding unit, robot, automatically welds up to 10 tonnes worth of job can go in there, and we were able to flip that around in any direction, rotate. Built that from the ground up basically, so there's a lot of hard work involved in that, and it was a good sense of accomplishment after that was done. To get out of bed every morning is the challenge. It could be anything, whether I'm designing something from scratch and I've got to meet a budget, or could be fixing something that's already done, or coming up with a new revision on something, making it better, more productive, safer. It's it's the challenge of making something better or building something from scratch that someone hasn't done before. You do get a sense of pride amongst the team and ourselves, leading LaserBond with all our new projects worldwide now. There's nothing stopping you just going out and getting a trade, doing your apprenticeship, going out, doing some work, earn some money, then going off and doing some extra curricular activities afterwards. That's the way I've done it. If you wanted to come straight into this, you can always go to uni, get a traineeship of some sort while you're at school. Some of the units you could be doing, metalwork, woodwork, drafting, your computer CAD stuff. I guess even all the way through to the point for what I'm doing here, mechanical engineering, physics, mathematics, all that stuff kind of comes into it. So when I did my interview, a lot of what got me into that, I think, was just telling him about my hobbies and a few photos of what I have done with my dad at home, pulling some things apart. And out here is crazy, the growth that's happening out here. Plenty of businesses out here. Ultimately, everybody will be out here, and we've got a new airport, train lines, everything coming through. But I've been out here my whole life now, so no shortage of work, things going on, plenty of opportunities out here.
My name's Daniel. I've been at LaserBond for 10 years now. I'm a laser cladding operator. I've been doing so for the last 7 years. Before that, I was a labourer, just pushing a broom. And then slowly worked my way up to where I am now. When I was in high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I left, when I finished, anything like that. I just knew I wanted to work, I guess. I completed my Certificate 3 in Mechanical Engineering. Since then, I've done a Certificate 4 in Leadership and Management and a Certificate 4 in Project Management as well. Both areas of study that I wanted to learn and grow into. So behind us we have a wind turbine housing. So at the moment it's supported by 2 overhead cranes. The workpiece itself weighs 11 tonne. We have a 6-axis robot with cladding optics attached. So what we do is very similar to welding, where they would use an arc and wire to deposit material. where we actually use a laser beam, highly focused energy and a powder source to create a bond with the parent material. I was fortunate enough to fly over to the UK to commission a laser cell very similar to what's behind me. I had instructions to make the machine work while I was in the UK. I was there for 3 weeks, but it's just a sense of pride and fulfillment once you get the machine working and you can hand it over to the customer completed. For me personally, I enjoy these big sort of jobs because it's a break of the mold. It's not your everyday job, and then the sense of fulfillment you get by seeing a big job done where it takes a few hours, takes a lot of thought to make things safe to work on, to be around and to handle. For kids in school these days, the subjects I would recommend would probably be metalwork, just so you have an idea around steel and what steel can do and the properties of it. Maths, just for simple calculations. Science as well has a benefit to what we do and how things work together or could work against each other. But when I met with a big challenge similar to what's behind me, the first thing we would do is, if there's more than one person working on it, we would have a brainstorming session and go on face value what we think would be the best approach, and then try that. And if that doesn't work, then look at a different way around it. Because the reality is, the job, it's sitting there, it's not going anywhere till it's finished. So sometimes we don't have any choice but to make it work. So it's whatever the job needs. Living in Western Sydney and working here, the commute is quite short. Everything's close together. You've got shops, you've got schools, you've got work. Like, everything that you need is together. It's within a reasonable range. You don't have to travel too far to get what you need. That's what I believe.
That was awesome. Love seeing the passion, as well as the 3D scanning through to CAD modeling through to advanced manufacturing, but all of that being alongside your traditional sanding, welding, sparks flying. And also, Matilda, I love that V8 too. What we're going to see now is the Ingham Institute for Applied Medical Research, and it's based in Liverpool. They are doing phenomenal work in cancer research.
Ingham Institute opened at Liverpool in year 2012. It is actually a research institute that gives clinical researchers a platform for different type of research in here.
It does like a great research in cancer radiotherapy, in childhood diabetes. In 2012, we had only a small group. We started with 5 to 10 scientists at the medical physics group at Ingham. And now it has 3 or 4 levels. Now there are more than 350 researchers from different groups and clinics. So now they are trying to expand, and they are building a new building for a research scientist, to continue the work, to continue the development.
I've been here for more than 7 years. I'm an MRI research engineer at the Ingham Institute. My role is to give engineering support for the MR-Linac project, which is right happening here in Liverpool. So MR-Linac is a new type of equipment, try to combine MRI equipment with a radiotherapy machine. There's 4 groups in the world doing the same research. We are one of them. We're based here right at Liverpool. Conventionally, radiotherapy, it has very limited image guidance during the treatment. And with this project, we try to combine MRI machine with it. So using MRI machine, we can do a real-time image. So it will help fine-tune where the beam is and give extra dose to kill the tumor cells while spare the healthy tissues. And we got animal trials. This rat for the research and then being injected with tumor cells. After 10 to 15 days to grow, when the tumor gets into a certain size, we use MRI to imaging this rats. We find where the tumor is, and we aim our radiotherapy radiation to the tumor and treat this rats. And we have done 20 also rats in total, and we're quite successful. So the next step will be doing real patient trials, and we have got ethics approval and it's still on the way. As an engineer, you want to provide good engineering support for this project. We need to maintain the system working, implementing new ideas. We collaborate with a lot of universities, such as Western Sydney universities. That's one of our collaborators, and such as University of Wollongong, and also the University of New South Wales Clinical School right here in Liverpool as well. When I'm back in high school, I really have no idea what I wanted to be. I got a broad interest in engineering and science, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. After high school, I went to an engineering university. My major was in IT. So one of the basic tools is maths. So maths is the key subject for all the science and engineering, and also for the IT, so in both hardware and software. So it's just a fortune for the young kids now. They have opportunity to have a visit here and have a better idea in the future.
So I was born in Saudi Arabia, overseas, in Middle East. I love to have fun, so I was naughty, to be honest, but at the same time, like, I did well in my study. I was an A student. I love to learn different things, and I like to apply science at home. So I remember once myself and my brother broke my mom's hair dryer just to get the motor out of it and play with the magnet. I love physics, electronics, math. At that time, I wanted to be an electrical engineer, but unfortunately back home and in the region where I live, there wasn't an engineering degree for girls. So I joined the School of Science. I did physics for 2 years. I came to Australia to do a Master of Medical Physics as well with research at the University of Sydney. And once I finished that, I got another scholarship as well to do a PhD, which I started in 2015. And at the same time, I was also working on some educational program to develop and improve the education back home. I got another scholarship as well for a short course. And now I had a job this year with the MR-Linac group as a research assistant for the Australian MR-Linac. It's one of the best projects, to be honest. Like, it's exciting because it's something new. You don't know, like, we know the physics behind it, the science behind it, but it's once you see it in reality, like, that feeling is like the best. And also personally, I like to help people, and I see success is the changes you make in people's life. And here our research, like, when I think about it, my work, my research, and the group as well, at the end it will be translated into a clinical practice and help people. And in this case, they are special people, like they are people affected with cancer. Also, I have interest to empower women and girls back home. And when I look at the children as well, like poor children, like, I wanted to help them. So if I want to help them, I need to get like a good job. I need to be myself a role model for them as well. So I feel so happy. Like, I do some volunteer work with children, women, refugees. So that would keep me like motivated most of the time, to be honest. I would say, like, these days you are so lucky because you have computer everywhere, like all the resources are available online. So keep learning, be curious, like, try different things. It's fine if you fail, like, there is another aim, another goal. You need to look forward, like, be positive, talk to people, ask questions, don't hesitate, try and fail, but get up and follow your dream.
So I grew up in Tasmania, born and raised there, and lived there until I started my PhD. I've been here since 2017. I work on a project in breast cancer and looking at resistance mechanisms to treatments for breast cancer. I came here after doing an honours project in Tasmania and previously did my Bachelor of Science in Tasmania. At grade 10, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I kind of had a little bit of an interest in genetics, but I really didn't know a lot molecular biology wise at all, so it was only a vague inkling at that point. I didn't quite get into a medical research course, and I chose a Bachelor of Science, which enabled me to do exactly the same units as the medical research course. So I still got to be where I want to be, and I've done an honours year as well, and I've found out about the awesome work being done on CTCs, and I came here to do a PhD in circulating tumour cells. I've always been really interested in cancer research just because, well, one of the problems with it is that the cancer is always adapting to new treatments, and this is why we have a lot of patients that get resistance to treatment, and that's obviously a terrible outcome for the patients. But it's also really interesting from a biological perspective that the cells can change so quickly and mutations can arise that actually enable the cells to overcome the treatments. So I've really enjoyed cloning. So this is basically putting a genetic mutation into cells and watch how they change or respond to treatment and different things that might mimic treatment responses in cancer patients. For anyone in school now, if you want to go into medical research, I think taking subjects such as biology, physical sciences, chemistry and some basic maths will help you get there. If you're also in my position in grade 10 where you don't know what to do, I think science, maths and English give you a good grounding for anything you want to do. So.
You know, I never had a solidified idea of what job I wanted or what career path. I do remember thinking maybe I could be a scientist one day in class, and you know, here I am now, but I never could have imagined that this would have come true. So I'm the biobank manager at the Concert Biobank at Ingham Institute. I've been in the role for about 2 years, and essentially what we do is collect cancer biospecimens, so this includes tissue, blood and blood products, urine and saliva as well. We collect them and scientists essentially contact us to use them for their research projects. My pathway from high school, I went into undergraduate medical science, took on an honours program in neuroscience, and then kind of stumbled my way into the PhD where I am now. One of the projects we're working on at the moment at the Ingham Institute, we have a 3D printer upstairs, and we can 3D print cancer cells into an organoid. So this is easily one of the most exciting projects we've worked on to date. We were lucky, we're one of the first beta testing sites in New South Wales. The biobank collects a large tumour tissue or tumour sample from the patient directly as it's taken from surgery. We then digest it, so it's essentially a pool of cells. We mix that pool of cells with a binding gel, and using a 3D bioprinter, it basically shoots out kind of like a Slurpee of sorts into different wells. We put that into an incubator to cook, and essentially it will grow into a sphere of cells. You treat these spheres of cells en masse with a variety of different drugs, and the key part is to find out which drugs work, which drugs don't work. The more exciting part, I guess, is that you can trial experimental drugs on the cancer spheroids without actually treating a patient. And not because it sounds cool that you're 3D printing a brain, but I also think because the applications can change the world. It will radically change patient treatment. The other project I'm really excited about, and it's a really broad project, it's called the Liquid Biopsy Program. Essentially, instead of cancer patients needing a huge needle into their tumour, just a sample for diagnostic biopsy testing, you can just take a blood test. It's less painful for the patient. There are a few other applications that are really important, so early diagnostics and also screening for potential therapies. We're really lucky at the Ingham Institute. We work actually alongside a lot of the senior researchers, and so you can bounce ideas off of them, and they do offer their time. I was born in Westmead Hospital, and so collaborating with a lot of the hospitals, there is some odd sense of connection. It's satisfying for me to give back and try and build that here, and I guess to show the city in the north and the east that we can do excellent research here. I studied mathematics and biology, and then of course the other typical suspects. But looking back, I think what I would change is I would also pick up engineering. I think this will be a powerful skill. Method of thinking in engineering is important. It's very critical thinking and step by step, and I think that will pay dividends both in their degree and I think in their own future, whatever they choose to do. It's satisfying, I think, to be involved, to know that you will change the world in some way. Cutting edge area of technology, I think that is really exciting. I do like a lot of the innovation aspects of science, and of course that's where Ingham Institute helps me there.
I really like living here in Liverpool. Obviously the proximity to work is great. Here we have the advantage that big conferences are occurring here in Sydney, and that enables us to share our work and connections with others in science.
and this has got a lot of potential. So I'm quite confident that in the future, Liverpool will be another new CBD of Great Sydney area.
I witnesses the changes myself because I've been here like since 2012 and now it's 2021. Like it's amazing, like the research, the development, the building, the city, like everything is changing in a good way. So that's amazing to be part of this group and this area and to enjoy all the privileges that we have in terms of scientific and community as well. Like it's amazing to be here and to be part of the community at Western Sydney.
Some groundbreaking research and development there. The MRI Linac being able to focus radiation treatment for cancer treatment at the same time as looking into 3D printing. I think 3D printing is amazing. We've seen it used in 3D printing layer by layer plastics. I've even seen it used to build houses. But one of the best possible applications is 3D bioprinting. And these guys are bioprinting brain cells and cancer cells for treatment. Incredible. And now on to Launchpad. This is an initiative by Western Sydney University to support the startups, the entrepreneurs who are doing their own awesome things. Let's take a look.
Launchpad is a technology business incubator that was founded in 2015 by Western Sydney University, and our mission is to drive innovation across the region. And we do so by working with startups and supporting them, and as well as establish small to medium enterprises and helping them adopt innovative technology, and also upskilling the students of the region with entrepreneurial skills for the workforce of the future. So Launchpad supports students as well as established businesses and entrepreneurs that aren't affiliated with the university by various programs and support services. So firstly, for a startup who wants to get access to the university, they can do so by getting a membership with us, and in doing so they get access to a range of mentors and subject matter experts, as well as our incubator spaces and facilities to create their product. And we also try and connect them up with students, academics and researchers to support them with their research and development where we can. We also do a lot of work around connecting them to funding and various expertise that aren't around business and commercialisation, such as legal, accounting and HR as well.
My name's Kirk. I am the founder of the Mobile Apps Man. We've been going for about 7 years now. Primarily we create apps for businesses. So largely that's iOS and Android apps, as well as what we call web applications as well. Now, even though the Mobile Apps Man has been established for about 7 years, our engagement with Launchpad happened a couple of years ago already, and primarily last year it really took off. And what we were after was the mentorship that they provided. We had great access to really superb mentors last year. The ability to work with Launchpad and their mentors has really helped us solidify our ideas and take them to market. I guess our real passion is holographic computing, as you can see sort of behind us, and virtual reality, augmented reality. So holographic computing will allow you to physically walk through a building prior to it being built. You can see the height of bench tops or your furniture. You can look at furniture physically in a room, walk around it as if it were there. Back when I was at school, loved computers and top computers at school and in Year 12. Strange enough, wasn't so good at math. For some reason, had a disconnection with math, but these days I can't live without math. I am totally across most things. Love it when my kids ask me for any assistance in math. I'm there, I love it. When I finished school, the first thing I did was went to university, Western Sydney University. I was doing a Bachelor of Science, majoring in computer programming. As years progressed, I moved into management and then decided, was told by a CEO, Kirk, if you want to get ahead, you really need an MBA. So a couple of years ago, went out and got my an MBA. One of the most exciting projects that we did was we worked with the Royal Society for the Blind. It was our own idea, so it was an initiative that we came up with, that we thought that we could use things like this, holographic computing, to assist people with vision impairment. So I guess our idea there primarily was the ability to translate what the headset device can see So using what we call spatial awareness and artificial intelligence, recognise what it sees and translate that into words that someone with vision impairment can then do something with. So warn them of an impending obstacle that may be in front of on their path. We built a prototype. The project, the ability to really think in terms of how innovative ideas could solve these real big world problems, and working with some people with sight difficulties. That was just amazing. It was a great opportunity. So what gets me out of bed and what I've got a real passion for is driving innovation. Okay, so innovative ideas, innovative thinking. How do we solve real world big problems? From a schooling perspective, getting into just the robotics and tinkering to understand how you get something to do instructional based thinking that really is done by nature. So getting a computer to follow various instructions that from a human perspective is fairly straightforward, but how do you tell a machine to do exactly those and achieve the outcome? Certainly computers, robotics, some passion perhaps for electronics, those sorts of things would be fairly key, I would think. Our business fundamentally has grown up in southwest Sydney. We're passionate about this area, and that's part of the reason why we continue to work with Launchpad and Western Sydney University. So we're based in the Macarthur area. We've done work with Campbelltown Council, for instance. We love the area, and we also support the STEM program by talking in schools about the ability to use this sort of technology, what innovative thinking is, what 5G is and the implications of 5G, as well as artificial intelligence. To really broaden our minds in terms of what this sort of technology may bring to us in the future is what we're passionate about, and keeping it here in the southwest Sydney.
So my name's Belinda Chapman. I am a scientist. I'm a microbiologist, and I work for a company called Quantal Bioscience, and in fact I'm actually the director of that company. So I started that company 5.5 years ago with a bunch of my scientist friends. We joined Launchpad earlier this year because we really wanted to take our business to the next level. We've been great for 5.5 years, but it would be great to be even better, and so that's why we've joined Launchpad. So Launchpad has really helped us because it's introduced us to some great mentors. So we're a bunch of scientists and we really need to learn business even better. So the mentors that we work with at Launchpad are great business people as well. And we've also met a great group of other companies in Western Sydney who are trying to do great things with their business. And we've even formed some great collaborations with those other businesses as well. At Quantal Bioscience, we study microorganisms. We study microorganisms because they're so important in every aspect of our lives. Microorganisms are tiny life forms that control so many parts of our lives. They help us to grow food. They spoil food. They make us sick, they make us well. They're in us, they're on us, they're all around us. And the better we understand them, the better we can solve problems for the world. So what I actually wanted to be when I was at high school was a mechanic. I really wanted to leave at year 10. And even when I went to university, I really wanted to leave at the end of first year university and become a mechanic. But I went to one lecture at lunchtime in university at the end of first year when I was deciding, should I stay or should I go? And that was about microbiology, and I fell in love with microbiology, and ever since then I've never wanted to leave microbiology. I would definitely always go down the job experience path because it really teaches you to solve problems. So at university, sometimes the problems, well, you're learning more concepts, and there are some problems, but they're usually only fairly defined problems. Once you get out into industry, you get a lot harder problems to solve, a lot more real world problems to solve, and you learn a lot quicker when you have to solve real world problems. So as we're all getting more health conscious, we want better food to eat. And so an important part of that is for a lot of people not putting preservatives into the food. But if we take the preservatives out of the food, lots of microorganisms can grow. So we need to find a whole new way to kill microorganisms. One of the most exciting projects that I've worked on was when I was working with CSIRO. And in that project, I got to work all around the world with other research scientists in countries like Germany and also in the United States as well. And that project was to design a whole new way of killing microorganisms in foods. And that way of processing is called high pressure processing. And actually now, when you go and you buy products in the supermarket, some of the products that you will buy are actually preserved using this process, high pressure processing, and there's no preservatives in those foods because of the research we did. So the most important subjects to study at school are the ones that you're passionate about. If you're passionate about science, it kind of doesn't matter which science subjects you study. Your learning is a lifelong journey, and you will pick up so many other skills and pieces of knowledge while you're out working. Whatever you start with studying at high school is not going to be the thing that you necessarily end up doing at the end.
Since we've established in 2015, we've touched over 4,000 businesses across Greater Western Sydney. And on a day-to-day, we work with over 300 businesses in our incubator and through our memberships. Launchpad currently has a physical incubator in both Penrith and Parramatta, and soon a third in Bankstown. But we've got a virtual reach across the entire region through our various partner networks as well. Western Sydney University plays a critical role in transforming the region, and Launchpad is doing exactly the same. So one of the most exciting parts of my job is to be a part of really innovative, game-changing companies. So one of the most exciting companies that we've worked with here at Launchpad to date is a water recycling company called Aquacel, and they base their entire R&D and innovation team here in the Penrith incubator. We've seen a lot of examples how companies based in Silicon Valley become global international companies, but this company is a very good example of one that's been built out in the West and exporting to overseas. Aquacel actually powers the water recycling on campus for some of the biggest Silicon Valley players that we know. And I personally think that it's awesome that that R&D and technology was built right here in Western Sydney. At Launchpad, we love supporting a broad range of businesses. We support businesses from gaming all the way to bioscience and everything in between. So what I would say to kids is if you've got an idea or if there's a problem that you're really passionate about solving, come to us and have a chat. You know, there's likely going to be a startup that we can connect you with, a mentor you can chat to, or maybe in a couple of years you can bring your idea to us and we can help accelerate it.
It's great to see Western Sydney University and Launchpad supporting so many businesses, a whole variety of businesses. But love Kirk's enthusiasm, his virtual reality work, doing walkthroughs of different businesses, but also improving their processes right from the start before they've ever been built. And also the work that Belinda is doing in microbiology is unbelievable. This is stuff that is in our foods, the microbes that are in our foods, that are in our bodies. This is work that touches on the lives of many people all across the world. This can truly change the world as we know it. Now, this sort of research making its way out globally is what it's all about. When humanity can be improved from our advancements in science and technology, that is where the sweet spot is. So, Career Evolution has kicked off, and we've seen some amazing innovations through Western Sydney businesses, from AI to robotics to traditional and advanced manufacturing techniques, microbiology, all the way through to 3D printing of brains and lasers. Sci-fi stuff here. So if you are considering a career in STEM, maybe this might be for you. Thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Jordan Ewan, and we'll see you again soon.